Good morning, everybody. It is week 13. The playoffs are right around the corner, and you need those dubs. Well, I need them too, to be fair. But how we feeling, Devin?
I've got my coffee in my hand. I think I've successfully thwarted a woodpecker, so it's a productive start to the morning.
Easy game, easy life. All right. Let's just get into it until we get questions in the chat. We're just going to be on Twitter answering questions. Start one, PPR, Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, or Mac Hollins.
Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, or Mac Hollins.
Yeah, there's a lot of all-ins in there.
Let me pull up the matchups for today.
Houston against Cleveland, Cleveland against Houston, Oakland against the Chargers. Vegas against the Chargers, sorry. I'm leaning
Adams
Peoples-Jones.
I'm leaning Peoples-Jones as well. We are the same people last week that were telling people to start Donovan Peoples-Jones over a myriad of players. The Peoples-Jones hype is real, and regardless of how you feel about Deshaun Watson, I think with Watson in the lineup, it's going to elevate Peoples-Jones in a way that we haven't seen.
This is so true. Especially when you get as many you do, Tyler. Like the numbers like skyrocket, and it's like, now that you have like the team kind of helping out, because that's what I do. I just go after all the ones that haven't been answered yet. At this point, like if I see you quote tweet one, that's it. I pass it up.
I would definitely go Peoples-Jones. I think even if Watson isn't like what Watson is to his historical precedent, I think Peoples-Jones should see an uptick. I think this Browns offense now has the ability to pass, not even more efficiently, but just at a higher volume.
Yeah. See a huge following. Do threads in there. Beat their thread. Yeah, seriously. It's freaking wild. Like people have like 40, 50K, and it's like, nah, I'm not gonna ask that guy. Somebody jumped on our thread, Zonovan Knight or Kareem Hunt in half PPR. I'm leaning Zonovan. Kareem's just kind of been non-existent all year long.
The Texans are ass, but Michael Carter is out. So I'd probably go Zonovan Knight.
Yeah. You have too many questions. I agree. You do. Back to Tyler's thread. Darius Slayton or Adam Thielen in half PPR?
Wandale's out for the year. The Giants are playing the
Washington Commanders.
I like Slayton. I'm going to lean Slayton just because the overall vibe of that game. I think they're going to have to pass the ball as the Giants a little bit to win that game. I'd probably go Slayton over the other option just because Slayton's the guy out there. Every time they've told him he's not the wide receiver one, he's been able to kind of reemerge as one of their focal points.
Juju Smith-Schuster or Christian Watson in PPR?
Christian Watson.
Really?
The thing is, so if it was after his 2-touchdown game or 3-touchdown game and he dropped 30 points and you picked him up and you started him the next week and he dudded, that's chasing points. This is 3 straight weeks of at least 6 targets and at least a touchdown. There's a reason why he's being targeted. The quarterbacks in this offense like him, and Matt LaFleur is scheming him. I understand Mahomes is a stellar talent, but Watson isn't dealing with a Travis Kelce in that same offense. He's not dealing with a Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
If you bench Christian Watson, I'll make sure to come after you. I feel that. I really like them both, to be honest. But yeah, you're right. Christian Watson, 3 straight weeks.
The only reason Christian Watson should not be in your lineup is because you got him off of waivers and you're in the playoffs already. Like I have a couple leagues where Jamar Chase is finally coming back, and that's why Christian Watson is on my bench. Because you can't bench Godwin, you can't bench Waddle, you can't bench Chase. It's just not happening.
You imagine if someone within my reach started pulling receipts. Where's that fantasy receipts account?
Twitter would burn. It would be
Twitter
a hellscape.
Burn. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like them both. But yeah,
Watson has the
you're
higher
right.
upside by a lot. It's
Right,
just
and Christian Watson isn't competing with Travis Kelce.
that's the thing. And it's like if Jordan Rodgers starts, Rodgers has proven that he's going to throw the ball to Watson in previous weeks. And
Even Love.
I think Watson's kind of finally graduated from that like early season struggle of just not finding the tempo. That was the biggest problem. He just couldn't get on page with Rodgers. And for some reason, it's finally started to click.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a good one.
And it's the
Harrison
Bears.
Bryant, Evan Ingram, or Daniel Bellinger, half
Evan Ingram.
PPR. Yeah, Evan Ingram. And then 2 out of these 4. Juju, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith.
It's Juju. It's not Juju. It's going to be Olave and Jamar Chase. With Jamar being the first one you're starting.
We're on the exact same page there.
Olave has been the wide receiver 1 for the Saints, and while he has had down weeks here and there, he's been the best rookie wide receiver out of this class. Burks has been hurt. There's been other bright spots out of the class. Williams has not played a snap of football, and Olave's just been there. Garrett Wilson's had flashes because of Zach Wilson not playing football, which, is good for him. But Olave's done it with every single quarterback thrown out there by the Saints. And we're talking about a 36-year-old Andy Dalton.
What I find funny about this is Tyler talking about last week how you said you're 27, Tyler, and you're feeling old. So when do you consider getting old? That is my question. Like
Old
once you
is
hit
just a
30, is that it?
But yeah, I definitely go Olave and Jamar Chase. It just makes more sense.
I was in the same exact boat. Okay. 1 tight end in PPR. Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, Greg Dulcich, Logan Thomas, Jelani Woods, Noah Fant, Daniel Bellinger, or Jordan Atkins.
I like Jelani Woods a lot. Jelani Woods is a big body. That dude. So what were the first names? I think Harrison Bryant season
wanted to live till you're 25. That's hilarious. Austin Hooper, so Tennessee against Philly. Harrison Bryant, so Cleveland against Houston. Wait, Harrison Bryant. Bryant is Njoku's backup, right? I'm not crazy.
They play in tandem. I think they have 2 tight end sets that they run.
Yeah.
And Njoku had a really bad week last week in terms of not like by the end, but he had some bad drops.
Yeah. Harrison Bryant, Greg Dulcich, so Baltimore, Logan Thomas playing the Giants, Jelani Wood playing the Cowboys, Noah Fant's playing the Rams, Daniel Bellinger's playing the Giants.
Maybe Noah
Fant. Commanders.
I think Noah Fant or possibly Dulcich. I hate the Broncos, and Russell Wilson's not good right now, or hasn't been good this entire season. But in terms of overall usability, I think Fant's going to be in a competent offense that's going to be able to move the ball around. Dulcich is like the only other target besides Cortland Sutton, unless Jerry Jeudy is finally back. And outside of them, I can't recommend starting Austin Hooper. They just don't throw the ball at a high enough
for me,
clip.
like Hooper's out, Harrison Bryant's kind of out. Greg Dulcich might be in. Logan Thomas doesn't see the ball. Jelani Woods is interesting, but like
he had a decent week last week.
It's a god-awful O-line facing the team with the most sacks.
You also have Mo Alley Cox in the mix as well.
Yeah. So we'll leave Noah Fant, and then in another league, this person says Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's probably winning this one. Evan Ingram, Taysom Hill, Daniel Bellinger, Harrison Bryant, Jelani Woods, Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, or Logan Thomas.
It's between Taysom Hill and Evan Ingram. If you like to gamble, go Taysom Hill. If you just want as safe of a floor as possible, I think Evan Ingram can get you the 5 points more consistently. Because at this point, what tight end is you're hoping to get 5 points, and if you get anything more, you thank God.
The real answer, honestly, is Travis Kelce. That's the answer to everything.
And if you couldn't get Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. And at this point, I'd probably start Kyle Pitts, even on the IR, over some of these tight ends. That's how bad tight end has been this year. Because the thing is, tight end's been terrible. But this is probably the worst year of tight end I've seen since I've been back in fantasy football.
This one feels easy. Keep going.
Even the streamers, you can't. I feel like I'm streaming streamers. It's like you have a guy one like I drafted Cole Kmet in one league and he put up back-to-back weeks of nothing. And I was like, bye. And he's been revived. If you somehow have Cole Kmet, thank your lucky stars. But yeah, tight end's been a crapshoot.
Isaiah Pacheco or Jerry Jeudy?
Format?
PPR. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm leaning Pacheco.
I'm leaning Pacheco, but I expect Jeudy to probably have a better day, just because Kansas City running backs are a crapshoot, and I mean that with the utmost respect. Like Pacheco is the lead back in Kansas City, and that's great, and it's meant really nice things for a certain number of players. Is Isaiah Pacheco Kareem Hunt? I don't know.
This is, it's funny. I won't get into it too much because we can talk about it more tomorrow. Like 2 or 3 years ago, it was Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle.
Well, no, it was Kittle and Kelsey, yeah. And then Andrews
now it's Kelsey, Andrews, mainly because he's been hurt. Start the one who scores the most points. Well, Tyler, if you didn't know, fantasy football is a skill game where the better player always wins. It's as simple as that. If you do not win, you are simply not better than your opponent. It's just how it is. It's a skill game. The better player always wins. But yeah, now it's Kelsey. He divided himself Andrews. Granted, Andrews got hurt, so it's not his fault. Kittle's taken a major step back. He's basically become boom bust. He's not consistent every week. And then it's everybody else. Well, Kyle Pitts is in there too, but he's stuck with Marcus Mariota. And then it's a giant divide after those 4.
Well, the thing about it is the biggest problem with tight ends in fantasy football is there are more than like 4 talented tight ends in regular football, but the problem with the position is fantasy football does not reward pass blocking or run blocking, and tight ends at the end of the day have to do both. And you saw it last week with a guy like Tyler Higbee. Tons of people had him in their lineups. Well, maybe not tons because Bryce Perkins was under center, but he was blocking on like 80% of his snaps. And that's what makes Kelsey so damn important.
Yeah, I think he only had 34% route participation. Like, it's
exactly
crazy.
Because that's the biggest thing at tight end. If you want to look at just raw data and numbers, fuck targets. You don't want to. Targets matter only if the route participation is at a high number, because you could have a guy that has a high target share, quote unquote, but he has like barely any routes. He's going to get you 2 receptions a game. A guy like Tyler Higbee earlier in the year with a competent quarterback was putting up 10, 12 targets a week. The route participation is king. So out of all of your options, whenever you're looking at the waiver wire for tight end, dig a little deeper, because the numbers should lead you in the right direction. And granted, the results don't always matter, but
got a couple here. So let's see if we can fire these off. Gotcha. Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mike White, or Aaron Rodgers?
Mike White.
I'm leaning Jimmy simply because he's in the shootout game.
I'm gonna go Mike White. Jimmy's been good. Hear me out. The Jets-Vikings is going to be a game that everyone is watching, and I have a genuine belief that the Jets aren't going to come out here and completely skunk it. I still pick the Vikings to win, but I don't see how Mike White just has a terrible game. Like, this Vikings defense is talented on paper, but it is not a world beater. And I've said it on the podcast before, I have faith in the Vikings defense. But with the receivers they have and Mike White's athleticism, I think it's going to be a good game for Mike White. You could start Watson. It's up to you. First week back from 2 years removed, I'm never going to recommend starting the guy. But
I agree.
He's
better. Plus, I feel like Nick Chubb is going to get 35 touches. So
I think Watson has a higher upside than a guy like Rodgers right now with all of his injuries. And who was the first name you mentioned? Garoppolo? Or was Watson then Garoppolo?
Watson, Garoppolo, White, or Rodgers.
If it's bye weeks, you start Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'm not starting him on a weekly basis. His floor is relatively safe, but at a quarterback spot, I'd like some upside.
Choose one to sit. Keenan Allen. Brady loves to feed him. Okay, hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself. We have to sit one of these guys. Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, Kenneth Walker. Boy, you can't go wrong in any of them, to be honest.
I am not benching Chris Godwin for anything. I probably bench Christian Kirk. personally. I know the Lions' defense is porous, to say the least.
I will tell you this: we're not benching Keenan Allen or Chris Godwin because Marshawn Lattimore is going to make Evans angry again. So as long as Evans is completely gone out of the picture for the most part, which is probably what's going to happen tomorrow, Chris Godwin is a must play. Keenan Allen is a must play with Mike Williams out in a potential shootout against one of the worst defenses in the league. Christian Kirk also facing one of the worst defenses. Technically, Kenneth Walker has the worst matchup out of all of these guys.
Well, isn't Aaron Donald out?
Yes.
Okay. So that.
And they obviously Seattle should see the ball more with John Wolford at quarterback. Allen Robinson's out. Cooper Kupp is out. Higbee's not going to run routes. So
I'm benching Christian Kirk personally.
It's really between Kirk and Kenneth for me, and I don't think you can go wrong either way.
They're both touchdown dependent. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to bet on if Kenneth Walker's finding the end zone, which I think is probably more likely than Christian Kirk finding the end zone. Because, yes, Christian Kirk is extremely talented. He's had 2 games this season with over 100 yards. He's got 1, 2, 3,
PPR.
4, 5.
Okay, that slightly brings down Kenneth Walker's value because he doesn't get a ton of reception work. It's mainly stolen by Homer Simpson. Do we have the rest of that name? We can't say that, right? Redacted. He got 8 targets against Tampa. What the fuck? But he got 1 last week against Las Vegas. Yeah, he got 8 targets against Tampa. So crazy.
Even with 10 rushes against Tampa Bay in Week 10, he had 13 points. Your floor with Kenneth Walker is way more consistent than a guy like Christian Kirk. I love Trevor Lawrence right now. I just can't see myself benching either of the first two. Keenan Allen had a really good week last week coming back from the injury. The Raiders defense is not good. Granted, the Chargers defense isn't much better at this point.
Not good.
But yeah,
so we'll sit Christian Kirk.
Because Christian Kirk and Kenneth Walker has the higher floor, and they're both touchdown dependent. I'd rather go with guaranteed touches at running back, whether they're carries or receptions, and just live with the outcome.
Okay, pick 2. I feel like this is pretty easy for me. Michael Pittman, George Pickens, Chris Olave, Josh Palmer, or Christian Watson. For me, I'm picking Olave and Christian Watson.
Yeah. I was like, I don't understand the Michael Pittman shit aside from the point where he's getting so many targets. Like, he's talented, sure, but he's not a 1. Michael Pittman Jr. is not a wide receiver 1 in the NFL.
Keenan Allen or Deebo Samuel? Keenan Allen.
The Niners just have way too many weapons. If the Chargers want to win, Herbert and Allen have to have an impact. Gerald Everett will probably play well. Eckler's going to have an impact. But there's too many mouths to feed in San Francisco. If McCaffrey has a big week, Deebo has a down week. You know what I'm saying? Like, Deebo's going to be more hit or miss than he has been as of late because of the nature of that offense. And Brandon Ayuk taking that step up. Jimmy loves Ayuk right now.
Is Deebo's expected to play is what I've heard. We have him in one of our leagues, so I've been checking him. He says he will play an hour ago. So to what capacity, who fucking knows? But he's expected to play.
My only problems with Pittman so far this year, because he's been relatively good in terms of like safe floor. He has 2 20-plus point games this year. He's not scoring touchdowns. He is just not scoring. He has 2 on the year.
Well,
and that's partially.
Colts.
Yeah, I get that. He's your PPR type dude. You want him because you're going to get 4 to 8 points a week just on receptions. Yardage, it's been fine. He's gone over 100 yards twice. He's not what I expected him to be at the price people were taking him. He was a 3rd round pick this year.
And about this too, about Kenneth Walker. For this, I agree with this. You just have to hope that it gets away because of Walker. Like maybe Walker just punches 2 in and then he's done for the day, and like DJ Dallas and Homer take over the game.
Well, Kenneth Walker is the red zone back. If there's any goal to go carries, he's getting the rock. And
that one of the runs he had against Vegas where he broke 2 tackles in the backfield. I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy's for real. This guy's nuts.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker's going to get his points regardless of how you feel about it.
Miles Sanders, Michael Pittman, or Garrett Wilson, PPR.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep. Cool.
I feel really disrespectful to Michael Pittman, and it's nothing against you, Michael. Matt Ryan isn't doing you many favors. Your offense isn't doing you many favors. Garrett Wilson.
Like what did he do last week? Let me look at his stats real quick. He last week against an okay defense put up 11 targets, 7 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Okay, so he did a lot better than I thought. I didn't realize he got a touchdown.
Talking about Deshaun earlier, I'm starting Tua out of that conversation. I'm not thinking twice. Tua, even with the Niners defense being probably the best in football this year,
he got pushed in the end zone. Yeah,
the Dolphins' offense is effectively like one of the best in football right now in terms of just putting up points. I'm not benching any of the main proponents of that Dolphins offense. I love Trevor right now. I think Trevor Lawrence is a stud, but
here's the biggest thing too is that like sometimes the best offenses, like this one is, the way Mike McDaniel plays, just does not give a fuck how good your defense is. Tyreek Hill doesn't give a fuck how good your defense is because he's just going to torch everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be a high scoring back and forth. There's supposed to be a lot of those today. So I assume some of them are not going to be what we thought they're going to be. But yeah, I would start Tua. I love Trevor. If it was Trevor versus Watson, I'm starting Trevor. But since you threw Tua in there,
You've got
Tua out.
3 weekly startable quarterbacks. I have a league where I have Trevor starting over. It's the bye week, so he's starting over Kyler. And even moving forward, I might start him over Kyler. Yeah. Trevor's taking a step up, which is what we like to see out of these young quarterbacks. I would hold on to Deshaun. I think he's probably going to be more valuable once the playoffs come. But anytime you have a guy coming off an extended absence like that, it's better to kind of like dip a toe in. You don't want to fully invest and cost yourself a week because you got a little too excited.
Tua or Kirk Cousins?
I love Kirk. I've been starting Kirk as my QB2 in a bunch of leagues this year. I do think that while the Jets defense is stupid, I'm going to go Tua. Yeah, like it's 2 really good defenses. I think the Jets have a better chance to slow down the Vikings than the Niners do to slow down the Dolphins, just because the Dolphins receivers are just stupid.
Hayden Hurst or Foster Moreau?
Jamar's back. I'm probably leaning Foster.
Well, the stats say that the Chargers like fucking shut down tight ends. I have no idea why. Not named Travis Kelce, obviously.
So there's 2 words I'm going to give you. Derwin James. You're welcome. And Derwin James shuts down Travis Kelce a lot of the times that they play. Obviously, shutting down Travis Kelce means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Kenneth Walker over Pirine, yes. Mixon probably doesn't play today, but Pirine's an RB2 with like volume upside. I'm definitely taking Walker over Pirine, even in a PPR league.
I think this is a can't go wrong situation. I think they can definitely rely on Pirine. He's a good catching back. It's going to be a shootout. I think they can definitely rely on him. Are they going to throw to him as much as they did last week or rely on him as much? No, Jamar Chase is back, but I would have to assume that Chase is on some sort of snap count because if he fucks up that hip and is out for the playoffs, the Bengals are fucked. It's not particularly close how fucked they would be. But yeah, Kenneth Walker is the dude in Seattle. Samaje Perine is technically not the dude. He's going to be the dude today, but you're going to take the guy who is the dude week after week, and it's Kenneth Walker. I like Perine this week. Obviously, he put up a good week last week, but you just got to take the starter every time.
Yeah, Perine's a good option. It's just that you're bound to have better options, especially with a guy like Walker.
17 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown, 7 targets, 4 receptions for 35 yards for Perine. And I think he could do better than that because they need to score more points this week. Samaje
Perine's not going to be the reason the Bengals beat the Chiefs. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly so.
And watch him be the reason. He goes for like 3 touchdowns. Just goes nuclear. I'm like, oh, shit. I jinxed it.
They put Ohio State 4th. That doesn't surprise me after.
Ohio State's at 4. So USC dropped out. Is TCU still there?
Mm-hmm. They won. So it's Georgia, TCU Michigan, lost. TCU.
TCU lost.
TCU lost?
Yeah.
Oh, this is just rankings. I don't give a fuck about
Okay.
rankings. I only care about what the shitty committee has to say.
See, Samaje Perine having a Josh Jacobs game would make me spit take. I'm not saying Perine's bad, but there's a reason why he's been a backup his entire career.
Fucking wild. Casey's runs defense is not that great, but
Chris Jones is still a thing, and I think I understand that Casey's defense isn't the most imposing unit. Chris Jones has kind of elevated himself to a higher level this season. Like, it's him. It's Aaron Donald, obviously, but Jeffrey Simmons and Chris Jones are starting to close that gap a little bit in terms of like best defensive tackles in football. Like, Chris Jones has been a massive key to this defense, and it's hard to run through him and Frank Clark, point blank.
Pick 2. Tyler Lockett, Alvin Kamara, Cordero Patterson, Keenan Allen. This one's easy in my eyes. I'm picking Kamara and Keenan. Lockett is... I like Lockett, but Jalen Ramsey and the Rams still have a decent secondary, and Cordero Patterson doesn't see reliable volume every week.
You put it best. I can't really argue against it. One thing, though, that I will say is I'm sorry, Tyler Lockett. He's a guy that I took nowhere, and I don't know why I didn't. He's PPR receiver 13 this year, and everybody thought he was going to be fucking useless. So, God, that's an ugly trade.
Jeff Wilson.
He went in the 11th round in this league. It's Tyler
God.
Lockett, man. Yeah, his price was so cheap, and he's only had like 2 bad weeks. He's finished with only 2 weeks below 5 points this year, or below 10 points. It's wild.
My biggest miss this season was not taking Jalen Waddle in the 4th round.
Now, I took Jalen Waddle absolutely everywhere. My biggest miss this season was taking Darren Waller in like 2 leagues.
I took is this the right team? Yeah.
Second-year receivers, my friends. Just trust me, it works. Even if they had a great rookie year, second-year guys. I did T. Higgins last year. Jalen Waddle this year. I'll probably look at Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. Receivers develop at a very, very fast rate. And even, like, obviously, taking a guy in the first round, you expect him to be a great talent. But second year wide receivers, rounds like 3 through 6, you'll thank yourself, I promise.
I must have been drunk when I did this draft because Jalen Waddle fell to the 6th round and I didn't draft him. I drafted J.K. Dobbins and Keenan Allen over him. What was I doing? I must have been wasted.
I love youth, man. I have Waddle, I think, in every lineup. But every lineup that matters to me, I have Jalen
Waddle. Jeff Wilson or Josh Palmer? PPR. You know Josh Palmer better than I do with Mike Williams out. So I don't know how you feel about Josh Palmer this week.
Is Mostert back?
Yes. To what capacity? Who fucking knows? But he is technically not even on the injury report. I'm really not starting Jeff Wilson in a lot of spots this week because it's not his fault he didn't have a big game against Houston. Houston, for some reason, bottled him up. But with Mostert back, he loses a little bit of work, and I think that Tua just has to sling it to Sherfield, Waddle, Gesicki, Hill, all those guys. I feel like he's going to have to just sling it way more than anything.
So Jeff Wilson Jr. has been really effective for a good portion of this season. He's had big weeks. He's had smaller weeks. He's got to score a touchdown. He's got to score a touchdown this week to validate you starting him. Josh Palmer over this stretch without Mike Williams, but also playing with Keenan Allen. Last week, he put up 9.6. Palmer has a safe floor right now without Mike Williams in the lineup. Since week 6, he's put up at least 7 targets per week, and his lowest scoring out point was 7.4. This Raiders defense is porous. They're going to have enough trouble guarding Keenan Allen. Gerald Everett is also a factor. I think Palmer's in line for a good 7 to 10 targets, and he could score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I like Palmer a lot. Wilson very well could outscore Palmer. I think Wilson has a tougher time getting to his points and against that Niners front seven. So I'm going to lean Palmer just because of the matchup.
Non-PPR, this is a two-parter.
Okay.
Samaje Perine, Rashad White.
White.
With Fournette back? To what capacity? I have no idea. I'm going to say that a lot today.
This game against New Orleans is going to be far more competitive. It's not far more competitive. I think the game KC versus the Bengals, especially with Perine as the lead back, we're going to see Burrow throw the ball a lot, and it's non-PPR. So we have a guy in Rashad White who, while he had 22 carries against Seattle, he had over 100 yards. He had 14 carries last week for 4.6 per carry. I'll pull up Perine's just raw data on the Perine's on the free agent list. So Perine, 3 point. He's less efficient per carry. He only had 4 receptions last week. He had 3 receiving touchdowns 2 weeks ago for 30 points in a week. Against the Kansas City defense, I don't think Perine's going to have a 20-touch, 105-yard performance. I think we're more likely to see Rashad White take 12 to 15 touches for like 80 yards than we are Perine to get a full workload and give you.
Oh, God, I'm
output.
stupid. I'm sorry. It's Isaiah Pacheco or Rashad White.
Oh,
That's my bad. I don't know why I thought I read Perine. And then I went back and I was like, wait, did I see Perine? That's my bad. It's Isaiah Pacheco or Rashad White. Okay, this changes my answer to White.
I like Pacheco. I think Pacheco's talented. I just think there's too many mouths to feed in that offense. And yes, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Tampa Bay as well. But for this week, Mike Evans is probably just sayonara for a bit. Yeah, I'd probably just lean. Yeah, give me White. Pacheco's probably going to have a good week this week.
And then PPR, this one is easy to me. Christian Kirk, DK Metcalf. As long as Jalen Ramsey is around, I'm picking Christian Kirk. Jalen Ramsey has notoriously destroyed DK Metcalf's value. Granted, Jalen Ramsey is not what he used to be, obviously, but he's still top 3 corner in the game, top 5.
I think DK is a little less touchdown dependent than Christian Kirk, and I think that matters.
I think Kirk the PPR helps me out in this situation because I think Kirk will get more volume.
DK had 11 receptions last week.
That's against Vegas, though.
I get that. I just
in a shootout.
So Jalen Ramsey can only guard one person. Tyler Lockett's been the better receiver this year for this team. I'm gonna lean Kirk with you, but I think Metcalf could actually have a day because Jalen is Jalen Ramsey, but I don't know if he's at the peak of his powers right now because he doesn't have anybody else around him. This defense is literally him and paper clips.
Yeah. I do not like this one at all. Leonard Fournette or Raheem Mostert in PPR.
Fournette.
I hate both options. Hate them both.
I like Leonard Fournette because even in the weeks where he's been kind of dog shit in terms of carries, he's still, at least for 2 of them, he's put up. Hell, against KC on week 4, he had 3 carries for -3 yards. He put up 18 points. I get it. Rashad White has kind of put himself out there as like this pseudo lead back out there. If he has any issues today, they probably will give Leonard Fournette some run.
Yeah.
And Fournette, I think, is more talented than Mostert at this point, reluctantly speaking. And I just, over the course of this year, Fournette, even in a down year, has respectfully put up 15.5 points a game. He's the 14th overall running back in fantasy right now.
Bench one of these fine gentlemen. Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, or Alan Lazard?
Alan Lazard.
Benching Lazard. Okay. I'm not benching Deontay. He has the best matchup. It was close between Lazard and Thielen for me.
Like, I don't get the hype with Alan Lazard. It'd be one thing if he was doing what Christian Watson was doing. At least Adam Thielen can give you red zone work. Like, Lazard was cool in the start of the year because he was catching touchdowns at an insane rate. But all those are going to Christian Watson right now. So unless he's going to give you the 11 targets against Tennessee weekly, I'm not feeling confident starting him. The Packers offense, for lack of better terms, fucking sucks. And the Vikings offense, for lack of worse terms, is fucking great. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lazard and Thielen are the same player right now. Thielen's just on a better offense.
Question from the man himself, or one of the most famous characters of all time, Homer Simpson.
Starts it.
Olave, Zeke, or Alvin Kamara?
Ooh, so Zeke is interesting, but Tony Pollard also scares me.
Zeke is obviously the touchdown guy. We've seen that. But in a competitive game, I'm leaning Chris Olave.
Homer, what's the format?
Yeah, that does change a little bit.
To be fair as well, Cowboys are playing the Colts. The Colts are not good. Zeke's got at least 13 carries every game since week 2.
And he's on a good streak right now. He's actually looked really good.
I'd probably go Zeke. Ride the hot hand. Like, I get it. Olave's good right now. There's not a whole lot on the perimeter that the Bucs have to defend. It's Andy Dalton throwing to Chris Olave, then you have a bunch of guys that have been banged up and injured. It's Olave against the world this week.
Yeah.
So he's very talented, but that secondary knows who the ball is going to go to. And Kamara is extremely talented, but Taysom Hill is a thorn in my neck. And the Bucs rush defense is still good. It's not terrible. Vita Vea is still an absolute monster.
Yeah. Bench one of these fine gentlemen. Isaiah Pacheco, Samaje Perine, Brandon Ayuk, and Miles Sanders.
So start one?
Bench one.
So Samaje Perine, Miles Sanders, and Brandon Ayuk.
And Isaiah Pacheco.
Got a bench one. I'm benching Perine.
You're benching Perine over Pacheco?
Yeah, I am. I think Pacheco has a better shot to get more valuable touches than Perine does, because I don't know how much they trust Perine because the thing is, I know it's looking back way into the past, but you know what could have helped the Bengals in the Super Bowl is that big play where the running back couldn't get to the ball and they turned the ball over on downs. You know who wasn't in the game? Joe Mixon. And I know it's reading into a lot, but I don't think Pacheco has been given the keys to the backfield. Perine is holding the keys for the man that's going to be getting his car. Perine's the valet at this point. There is no...
Bo, real quick, this one's easy, and Bo, I'm going to do yours right now. Fields?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only reason
I skipped over Bo, so I just didn't want to feel bad.
Yeah, the only reason you're skittish on Fields right now is if he's not going to run at the same propensity. And then also for Homer, I'm starting Zeke. Just unabashedly start Zeke. Kamara could have a good game. Olave is going to deal with a lot of interesting coverages.
And Dak Prescott is more likely to get touchdowns taken by his running backs.
Yep.
And Fields is more likely to rush for a touchdown. Chris Godwin or Ken Walker? Oh, go for it.
Even if Justin Fields doesn't rush for 140 yards, I think he's still going to be around 80, and that's gold at quarterback. Godwin or Kenneth Walker, full PPR. I have this same question in one of my leagues. Granted, the scoring format's a little bit different, so it's not just typical PPR. I'm going Godwin. If you're getting a point per reception, Godwin's going to get you at least 8 extra points on top of whatever yardage they're going to get.
And then Tua or Fields? I'm going to go Tua.
I like Tua a lot.
Yeah.
Dak's upside is limited because that offense is so efficient on the ground. The Dolphins' offense on the ground is solid, but through the air, that's how they butter their bread. So yeah.
And kind of here's the thing for me. And people want to talk about how the Niners haven't given up any points in a while in the second half. Since week 8, they've played the the terrible Rams. They had a bye week 9. They played the Chargers, who notoriously have not made second half adjustments.
Yeah.
They played Colt McCoy, and then they played Andy Dalton. The Niners defense is good, not taking a damn thing away from them, but they are going to get beat up by Tua Tagovailoa. It's a damn good offense run by a guy who knows that system.
Yep. No, Mike McDaniel is going to have a fun day. Full PPR, choose one to start. Kamara, Rashad White, Swift, Brian Robinson, Jeff Wilson, and Zeke.
That's
it's between
a lot
Kamara
of
and
choice.
Zeke.
Yep.
It's between Kamara and Zeke. I love DeAndre Swift, Dan Campbell, and Deuce Staley do not. So until that changes, we can't start him.
Let's look at Alvin Kamara over the past couple weeks in PPR. 5 points, 12.79, and then he had his 42 bomb against the Las Vegas Raiders. He's number 15 in PPR, but really it's because of this 42 bomb. He has missed 2 weeks, though. What's the Colts rush defense like? I mean,
they can't stack the box. I'm going to go Zeke. Yeah. I expect Kamara to have a bounce back week. I don't know if I think Kamara is going to be electric in the playoffs. I don't think this is the week where he gets right. I think Kamara has a decent performance, has his bye week next week, and then once fantasy playoffs roll around, you cannot take Kamara out of your lineup. We're talking Atlanta, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and Carolina.
Yeah.
This is why you drafted Kamara. Also because he was at a fucking discount because of the allegations in the offseason.
Yeah.
Oh, so Alvin Kamara went first in this league, which I don't think that's correct because this is a league where it's an in-person draft and the players get ported in, so the draft order's all messed up.
I think this one's kind of easy for me. Mostert or Zonovan Knight.
Zonovan Knight. Ty Johnson's going to be a thorn in your side all day if you're starting Zonovan Knight, but there's a bigger thorn called Jeff Wilson Jr. and Raheem Mostert's side. Unless McDaniel's like, hey, well, they're both former Niners running backs, so I think they're both going to get play, which makes it even more difficult. It's like, hey, Jeff, this is Raheem's old team, and Jeff's like, I just got fucking traded from them. What are you talking about? And he's like, shit. Well, guys, we're just going to run 2 running back sets. Get your revenge.
Let's see.
I wish we would get more kicker start sits. Because those are
kicker start sits.
I'd be like, flip a coin. Mow your grass, and if the blades fall one way, go that guy. Because kickers are just, unless it's Justin Tucker or a top offense. Is Jamar Chase playing this week?
Yes.
Listed as questionable, expected to play Sunday against the Chiefs. Isn't likely to have a snap. If he had a snap count, I'd break my own brain. I'd be like, this is.
He has to have a snap count. You can't be that fucking stupid if you're Cincinnati.
I read somewhere he's not going to have a snap count.
I think that's fucking insane.
I'm not a doctor, but 12.9 points.
Neither was the guy who evaluated Tua, apparently. But,
So, for the first time in weeks, I'm benching Jalen Waddle. It's because Jamar Chase is playing. Just as a fucking qualifier for everybody before I get absolutely lambasted in the comments. Godwin, Jamar, Debo. I thought I had Jalen Waddle in this.
Pick 2 of these crazy kids. Debo Samuel, Deontay Johnson, Alan Lazard, and Scary Terry. PPR.
Debo and Terry.
Feel that. Deontay's a little close for me, but he just fucking drops too many balls. Hey, look, somebody asked Waddle or Chase. Tyler said Waddle, but he said both are excellent plays. It's a spot where you can't go wrong, I think.
I'm only starting Chase in the one league because he's projected to score more, and I kind of want to hedge a bet. I have a couple leagues where I'm starting them both, but I can't effectively bench A.J. Brown in favor of Jalen Waddle this week, which is why I'm starting Chase over Jalen Waddle. Not because I don't think Jalen Waddle's going to have a great week, but I'll let him rest for a week. It's okay, Jalen.
You take your rest, buddy.
Nico Collins or Burks? I'm going Treylon Burks. The only upside for Collins this week. Brandon Cooks is out.
Yes, officially out.
Oh, okay. Let me check this out. This makes it interesting. The only thing about Cooks is out. Nico Collins is now the de facto wide receiver 1
For Kyle Allen.
for Kyle Allen. Not Deshaun Watson. Traylon Burks has Ryan Tannehill. While not at peak Ryan Tannehill performance, is like triple the output of Kyle Allen, give or take. I think Burks is more likely to catch a touchdown. I think Burks is more likely to have higher value targets.
On top of the fact that he scored 18 and 17 over the past 2 weeks.
Collins is benefiting from the fact that the Texans are going to get blown the fuck out. Like, the Texans are not going to be in a close game. I'm leaning Burks. I think Treylon Burks is really good. I think his floor is safe with those like 6 targets a week since week 10. Tannehill likes him.
Yeah, and the thing is that obviously Derrick Henry is the dude on that offense, and once Philly starts stacking the box, someone else has to beat him, and I think Ryan Tannehill is going to try and make Treylon Burks be that guy.
Yeah.
I think he'll see a lot of targets this week. I had to refresh the thread because it ended on me, and I need to see questions that have not been answered. Team Tyler's on a roll today, including Tyler himself. I need like that meme, that Spider-Man meme where it's like, I see his face everywhere I go. Just put like Tyler's PFP. Pick 2, Fournette, Patterson, or Pacheco. I would sit Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way as well.
I literally am sitting Cordell Patterson every single week. I've been sitting him for the past like 3 or 4 weeks now. His volume doesn't make sense. His numbers are not there. He's not going to get the touchdowns. I think his value was saved the other week by a return touchdown. Let me look at the stats to back up. Let me just make sure I'm not crazy. 10 points, 10 points, 3 points, 18 points. And the 10-pointer was off that return touchdown. So, yeah. Bench Cordero Patterson. 6 point, 1 point rushing first down. Lamar or Dak? 1 point for every rushing first down. 6 points for every passing touchdown. Okay, so rushing touchdowns are irrelevant, but rushing first downs. If Sam Darnold can put up 20 points on Denver, I expect Lamar to be able to put 20 points on Denver. So I'm going to go Lamar.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Dak doesn't really run for a whole lot of first downs. I do like his design runs that they're doing. He just doesn't slide enough to my liking, but that's not fantasy relevant. So I'm going to go Lamar here. They've been struggling a little bit, but if they want to win, honestly, if they want to win, they just got to put up more than 18 points statistically against the Denver Broncos, but that's neither here nor there. I think Lamar can get you like an extra 4 to 5 points with that little tidbit.
Yeah.
10 minutes left until there's a lot of 1 o'clock games though with a lot of studs though, so it's hard to say like lineups lock almost. Like I think my opponent, all of his guys except Derek Carr are playing in the 10 o'clock slot, and I have one guy playing in the 10 o'clock slot.
Yeah.
So I'll be down like fucking 100 to 20 nice and early. Actually, it depends. I need to check these lineups before I fucking lose my shit. This is a league I need to win for a bye. I'm trying to... I did all the math to try and see where my supervisor is going to land. If I get first place, it doesn't matter because he has Derrick Henry in week 16 against the... yeah, no problem. Good luck to you as well, sir.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
He has Derrick Henry against Houston in week 16, so I'm trying not to play him in the semis.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, I do not want to face this man against Houston. It is literally 200 yards and 2 touchdowns every single fucking time he plays the Texans.
And we have not had a question about what's his name? We haven't had a question in regards to... I'm failing. My mind is failing me. Travis Etienne. If you have Travis Etienne, you're starting him in every league that you have him. He is golden. Do not get cute. Jacobs is playing this game, right? Yeah, on track to play. Cool.
Yeah, if he played last week, he's playing this week. Oh, he's playing Juju now. Okay, that's interesting. Who was he starting before? He benched Cortland Sutton. That makes sense. I would bench Cortland Sutton too. So he just has nothing but wide receiver twos. Like I'm going against Derek Carr, George Pickens, Devontae Smith, Juju, Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Jones. Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones are ones that could tear me up the most. I have to play Jonathan Taylor and the Dallas defense, so I feel kind of shitty about that, but whatever. Is there a final word on Mixon yet? I mean, the long shot feels like it's good enough for me at this point. Looks like a long shot to play still. Yeah, I'll just keep P. Ryan in there. If I have to slot in Jeff Wilson, I will. I just would have to choose to play Dylan now or never. AJ Brown or Tyler Lockett? AJ Brown, right?
AJ Brown, yeah. Come on, man. AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
That's the dude.
Those are some of my favorite questions. It's like Tyreek Hill or Nico Collins.
That's a little disrespectful to Tyler Lockett, to be honest.
No, I'm not comparing the two. I just some of those easy questions sometimes are like funny to me.
No, I get you.
Raheem Mostert or Mac Hollins?
Mac Hollins, I guess. Need a running back in flex. Fournette still questionable. Kyron Williams, AJ Dillon, Nico Collins, Zay Jones, Deontay Johnson.
Running back and a flex. Okay, I'm gonna say
I'll go Fournette. Fournette and Zay Jones.
Well, yeah, I'll get that out of the way now. I'm gonna choose Zay Jones over the wide receivers. I feel like Dylan can score a touchdown over Fournette, though. I mean, but man, that feels close. I just don't. Fournette scares me. It's not Fournette that scares me. Fournette's talented. It's Tampa Bay that scares me. It's his workload that scares me. But 11, 11, 14 over the past couple of weeks. Didn't play against Cleveland. Okay, never mind. The stats show themselves. Fournette and Zay Jones.
Fournette, even in a limited role, is going to be decent.
Yeah, he at least gets 11 to 10. Yeah, Kyron is the biggest boom bust, but it's just that I can't literally start anybody on that offense. Start Rashad White, Brandon Ayuk, or Palmer for my half PPR flex. Ayuk. I'm picking the guy in the highest scoring game that I know is going to get the ball more than anybody else.
Did you know what happened the last time? Well, not the last time the Raiders and the Chargers played, but the last time they had a second matchup in a season, the Chargers did lose in overtime. It's like 40 points on each side.
True. Do I think Fournette plays on Monday? Let me just read his thing real quick. Practice Sunday or practice Saturday is logged 2 consecutive full sessions. Oh, that does it right there for me. 2 full sessions for Leonard Fournette, real quick. Locks it for me. 2 full sessions is enough for me to believe he's going to play.
Yeah, it
limited.
Would
I would feel. Yeah, I feel bad now if he gets out, but like after practicing 2 full, it would shock the fantasy football universe for him not to play.
Yeah. I like Palmer in that lineup between Rashad White, Ayuk, and Palmer. Granted, I'm a Charger fan, so I have to like Palmer. I think Palmer's been really good this year. And Ayuk's been great because he's scoring the touchdowns, but any given week that could flop over to CMC or to Debo or Kittle. I think it's going to be hot hand out there.
You know what? I'll lean Palmer too.
I just think
he only put
Palmer
up
has a clear
week,
path.
but seven targets, 95% snap count. Mike Williams is out. Yeah. Right now, I have Pickens in the wide receiver spot with DJ Moore on the bye. What do you think?
If that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Well, I guess the question would be, because we go back to his previous question, is George Pickens better than Nico Collins and Deontay Johnson? Probably.
Yeah,
I think Pickens. Yeah, Pickens.
He has a rapport with Kenny Pickett that I don't think anybody else in that offense besides Freiermuth has. And that's important.
I think you're okay with keeping Pickens there. Granted, I have no idea what Steelers team you're going to see this week. So we'll see what happens. The Steelers are probably one of the most polarizing teams I've seen this season. They're always going to play hard, but boy, do they look bad some weeks. They look like a completely different entity. Palmer against a horrible Raiders pass D. Now feel that.
Georgia, Michigan, TCU, Ohio State chosen for the college football playoff. I'm just happy that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be able to be watched in a meaningful way. I congratulations to Georgia for their second straight national championship. Hey, thank you, Dr. Clutch. Appreciate it as always. And remember, if we're wrong, it's the players' fault and not ours.
It's
Nah.
the player's fault.
And we
Yeah,
can't project injuries, so we
super
appreciate
appreciate
everybody for
that.
tuning
We're
in.
here. We're here every Sunday and Monday. Monday is more just like NFL content in general. We're going to do a lot more fantasy in the off season, dynasty stuff like that. But every Sunday morning we're here, especially coming up at the playoffs. So good luck this week. Fantasy football is a skill game where the better player always wins, and always pick the guys who score the most points. Best advice I can give. Let's see. Trying to get to some last minute questions. This one get answered? No. Juju or Pickens? Pickens?
That seems a little disrespectful to Juju. Let me pull the stuff up on Sleeper. Like,
Okay.
Pickens has a clear path to scoring points consistently, but
Juju has like good weeks, but his floor is low.
Yeah,
And then
Pickens has the higher ceiling. Well, Pickens has a more consistent ceiling because of the way he's targeted and used in that offense.
Yeah.
I'd lean Pickens. He's had basically 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks straight of 10+ points, barring the game against Philadelphia, where he got targeted 3 times. I'd lean Pickens. But Juju could score more. Obviously, that's how this shit works. But
yeah.
Pickens has a clearer path.
Lamar or Fields? I'm leaning Fields.
I'm leaning Fields until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, the way that Green Bay fucking got torn up last week. Good Lord. I'm trying to get to the last minute ones that haven't gotten answered. Rashad White, Najee Harris, Brandon Ayuk, or Brandon Robinson, or Brian Robinson.
What were the names again? Sorry.
White, Najee, Ayuk, Robinson.
Full PPR?
Yep.
It's between like,
I don't want to play Najee. I feel like he's hurt.
I can't do Brian Robinson because he doesn't have any reception work. It's all Antonio Gibson. Give me Ayuk. I know you're kind of high on him, and I'm kind of high on him as well. Jimmy loves to target him in the red zone. That's something we've learned. And if I'm not confident in the touch count and the consistency of some guys, I'm going to lean.
The biggest thing at this point with the San Francisco offense is everybody. They're all great players. Debo, CMC, Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, Ayuk, all of them. Even Juwan Jennings has seen, some reception. They're all extremely talented players, but now for fantasy, they are all boom bust. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
All the floors are gone, but their ceilings are high as shit. So, you could really get nothing. Miles Sanders or Samaje Perine.
Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is he's out. He's at almost 1,000 yards this season, and he's scoring touchdowns. There was one thing I knew in the offseason that we needed from Miles Sanders in order for him to be rosterable and startable in fantasy for the greater portion of the year. He needed to score touchdowns. That was his biggest curse throughout his entire career so far. He just did not score touchdowns, and he's finally starting to do it.
I think that's going to do it.
Well, lineups are locking. If you didn't set your lineups, no worries. It's 1 week. And then that 1 week
it's just nearing playoffs. That's all.
That 1 week will turn into 16, and that 16 will turn into existential dread. Oh, wow.
Huh.
Type in the league chat. I just realized I need another wide receiver for the week, and this beauty just gets sent to me instantly. It's a trade offer of Tyler Boyd, Russell Gage, and KJ Osborne for guess the player.
God, he needs a wide receiver. So what? Jamar Chase?
Saquon Barkley. Someone was trying to get Saquon Barkley for the spare tire that is Tyler Boyd and the.
That's my favorite trade offer, dude. Take my bench players for your stud.
Dude, you said you needed a receiver. You're contradicting yourself.
The trade calculator has it even. On top of that, you have to drop 2 players. Like these trades are fucking nuts, dude. I need
I
to pull up red
hate
zone.
3-for-1s. But yeah, thank you to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate everyone's time as always. And remember, start the players that score the most points, as Tyler so eloquently put earlier in the show. And we'll catch you all here next week. I don't know if Austin has anything left to say, but I got to start pulling some Christmas decorations out because it's holiday season. So
like the video, comment, subscribe,
subscribe.
all that jazz. Push the algorithm in our favor so we could get more out there. And honestly, the more popular we get, the more stuff we can do. Want to do giveaways and stuff like that. Just got to figure out what they're going to be. Here every Monday night, talking recap. We slip a little fantasy in there as well. So catch us every Monday night as well as every Sunday morning as the playoffs are nearing. Got about 3 or 4 weeks left in the fantasy season. And I think that is all I got.
Yep. So from Austin and myself to everybody out in the world, whether it be fantasy football, regular football, we'll catch you all on the flip. So peace.
Real quick.
Oh, I redacted the piece.
Real quick. Non-football related. Put Bonds in the Hall of Fame today.
Yeah, vote in Barry and Judge. Come home.